the years, if there's one thing I've noticed that producers are really lacking or songwriters are really lacking, is actually not their mixing. A lot of people will blame it on their mixing, but in reality, it just comes down to sample selection. So I want to show you this little project I have right now. And it's kind of at that level I hear a lot of projects are at, where the idea is there, it sounds pretty decent, but it's kind of not fleshed out in the sound selection. And you'll really hear what I mean when I play this. Let me play it for you. So what I'm hearing whenever I hear that is, first of all, a lot of the sounds are contrasting, if that makes sense. So you have this big, like, open intro, and then you have this tiny clap complementing it. So you want to listen through and also use some references. So I'll always use a reference to what I want my track to sound like. If I listen and solo this clap, you can just hear how thin that is. If I solo this pluck with the clap, they're just not talking to each other. They're just fighting for that transient space. So let's go ahead and look through our samples. So really the first thing I did to overcome my struggle of sample selection is organize all of my samples to where I'm able to easily just go through, use my ear. Don't organize your sample packs just the way they come, because that's kind of going to force you to use the same packs over and over again. You never get anything original. You get stuck in the same loop. You get stuck making the same sounding stuff. So what I like to do is every 2-3 months, I'll go through all my samples and solely just organize them by what they are. So if you look, I've organized all my cymatic samples. So this is the drums. I'll have the drum loops just based on what all of them are. If I open up any one of these, it has all of my samples from every cymatics pack that I have in one spot. And then if I go into my claps, which is actually what we're looking for right now, you can see I just have endless claps just all in one spot that I can just click through, use my arrow key, listen through, see what I like. So let's go ahead and listen to the track again, and I'll go ahead and kind of sift through some samples and walk you through what I'm thinking. So as I mentioned before, I need something wider. I need something with less of a transient that's going to fill in more space, something with more tail. Let's go ahead and listen through, see if I see anything or hear anything. So I'm already hearing that conflict clap right there. If I drag that in and go ahead and compare it to the other clap. So this is the new one, and then the old one. You can just hear it fills in so much space, and I bet you when I play this over top of that pluck, it's going to complement it. So let's go ahead and replace this. You can already hear the fullness that added to just those two elements. So as I'm listening through, I'm hearing this pluck. I really want to accent just the melody. I really like the melody of this pluck, and just the sound I'm using has so long of a tail. On the other end, like the clap was too short of a tail and wasn't filling in enough space. Well, this has too long of a tail, and you can't control it, but I want something that hits harder, more transient, maybe like a bell sound. So let me go ahead and go to my one shots, listen through some. So I'm liking bell rust right now. Let's listen to that. And the best part about setting it up like this is I don't like that. So you can just keep swapping it out and swapping it out until you find a sound you do like. I'm kind of liking this, but it's always important to listen to it in context. So let me go ahead and unmute this bass and see what it sounds like with both that clap and the bass. Oh, already sounding much better. Just the clap and the melody. So the next thing I was hearing was actually this bass. Now this bass and this lead sound are kind of fighting each other. So what I'm hearing is the tonality of that re-space is actually fighting up into the low mids and the mids too much to where it's not leaving enough room for this pluck. So I can go into this Reese and instead of completely looking for a new sound, just shape the sound from what I'm hearing. So like I said, I want to roll off some of the higher and some of the mids of the sound. So I'm just going to take the filter back. Already sounding much better. So let's listen to it in context. So that completely changed the sound of it. So if you listen to it before, and then after, just keep in mind when you're making songs, take your time. I get that you want to get the idea down, but it's just as important to make sure you're using good sounds that will inspire you to finish the loop, finish the production. Way too often, I'll get an idea, I'll just get a quick sound, get a quick clap, and as the idea progresses, because I'm not using quality sounds, I start to lose motivation to continue the track. It starts to sound bad to my ear, to where you can kind of use good samples and it gives your ear more time to like the song, if that makes any sense, if I'm making any sense with that. So just make sure you're taking your time, quality over quantity. Yes, it's important to get stuff out, get stuff fleshed out, get it from your brain into the DAW, but there's no use if you're not using good sounds.